So this is the hip flexor isometric hold with a bent knee. I'll show you two different angles because the rules will change depending upon the angle of the bench. But really there's only really two ways of doing it. So once I've shown you the two ways, then you can apply it to whatever the angle is written in the program. A couple of rules that will be the same for everything though is with the angle your knee in slightly. So when you're doing the hip flexion, angle your knee slightly in, try to avoid where the knee is angling out. So really knee inside of the outside of your hip is a good rule of thumb. 90 degrees at the knee, so try not to get too extreme. The world is not going to collapse if you get out there, but just try and be consistent with that angle. And then from a torso point of view, you want your torso to be actively passive, if that makes any sense. So you want shoulders above the hips, you don't want to be leaning back, you don't want to be leaning forwards excessively. You don't want your ribs up, you don't want your ribs down excessively. So ribs down, sure, and tight, but not compressed and also not flaring like that. So for the seated isometric hold version, just sit, again just nice and tall, angle the knee slightly in, and then lift the knee up from there. And then from here it's easy to lean back, but that's the thing to try and avoid, shoulders above your hips. And if you need to make that harder, then you can add a weight onto your knee. Just make sure you're consistent with your torso because it's very easy to let that change. So as soon as the angle starts changing, so let's just say I want to do a 60-degree position, then you need to bring in a dumbbell. Same idea, keep the knee inside of the outside of the hip. Same idea with the torso. Don't let yourself crunch. Don't let yourself arch. Just stay stacked. You want to set up the bench just underneath the angle that you want to go for. So if I want roughly a 60-degree angle at the hip, then I'll have the bench roughly at 45 degrees. I'll go shoulder to shoulder, and then I'll lift myself until I'm just off the bench, and that will be the position that I hold. And if I want to make that more difficult, then this time, instead of putting that weight on my knee, I then hold on to the plate. Other knee, 90-90. So that's now, other than the seated position, this manner is how you perform it, no matter what the angle is in the program.